Never again. Never again. This short phrase is recognized by probably every Israeli, every Jewish person probably on the face of the planet. There's a lot of reasons for that, but one great big reason. It kind of started in 1933, and around 1937, the Nazis built Birkenwald concentration and extermination camp. It was also the first extermination camp liberated. It was liberated by the Soviets in 1945. From the mid-1930s, early 1930s, until 1945, a little after that, there were over 70 labor and concentration camps all over Europe. I mean, everywhere. Almost every country in Europe had at least a labor camp, probably a concentration camp too. A lot of you will probably recognize some of the names. Auschwitz-Birkenau, 1.1 million people were killed there, and burned and buried and shot and gassed. Belzec, 434,000 people were killed there, all Jewish people. Sobibor, Treblinka. Treblinka alone had 870,000 people killed. Warsaw. Like I say, these were all spread all over Europe, from Poland, Austria, Germany, Croatia, the Ukraine. A lot of extermination camps, and as we all know, or should know at least, over 6 million Jews were exterminated in that time. All because of hatred of the Jew. And that's something that I guess I just don't understand, or my mind can't conceive, is why you would hate a people because they're a Jew, or because they're black, or because they're Hispanic, or whatever. They're good and bad in every ethnic group. And then you want to know why I'm doing this tape. I haven't done one for quite a while on YouTube, but this anti-Semitic thing that's happening all over the world right now, and especially here in America, with some of the individuals in our own government, which is absolutely amazing. But that again, that's for another talk. If you were living in Israel and all of a sudden missiles started raining down on you by the hundreds of the day, or thousands, or however many there have been, would you retaliate? If you were living on Main Street and your neighbor started knocking your fence down, killing your dog, slapping your kids around, setting your house on fire, would you retaliate? Or would you go to some place like the United Nations and say, please make them stop? I think we all know the answer to that. Hamas is a terrorist group. And why anyone would be on a terrorist group side is way, way beyond my imagination. They're terrorists, as we all know. They would kill every Jew in the world, and then after they got done with that, they would kill every non-Muslim, which would be most of you, me, and probably about 95% of America. I'm not sure why they want to do that, but I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this really right looking into the camera, and I got this quote from Howard Stern, and I'm not a real big fan of Howard Stern when he's on his show, but when he's off his show, he's got some good things to say. But I will say this, and I will quote Howard Stern when he says, if you're against Israel, you're probably against the United States of America. Think about it. My question to you, and to almost everybody, would be, would you die for Israel? Well, right now, Israelis are dying for you, and they're dying for me. They're dying for every person on this earth who yearns to be free and get up in the morning and do what he wants to do without his neighbor bothering him. Right now, they're on the front line defense against terrorism. They're doing what we should be doing all over the world. But Israel is protecting their homeland, from a piece of land that they gave to the Palestinians. Now, the Palestinians, I think, are to blame to a certain period because they are allowing Hamas to throw their children in front of buildings and schools and UN places for food and places to live. Hamas are a bunch of creeps. And if you're from Hamas and you're listening to me, yeah, you're a creep. I've got some other words, but you're not supposed to say them on YouTube or on video. For whatever reason, like I said before, a lot of our government seems to be siding with the terrorists. I'm not really sure. I know our president is kind of AWOL. He's working a lot on his golf game and fundraising, hobnobbing with the elite leftists, the liberal Hollywood elites, or as I like to call them, the Holly weirdos. They're mostly hollow little people who make an exorbitant amount of money pretending that they're somebody else. I don't know how you get that work, but it seems to be working for quite a few of them. They pretend their whole lives that they're somebody else, somebody that they probably wish they were in some cases. In the 1930s, there were a lot of people who stepped forward and helped the Jewish people, helped save a lot of them from the concentration camps and from firing squads and being shot in the street, being hung by piano wire. But strangely enough, as it is today, so was it then that a lot of Americans didn't know or believed anything about the concentration camps. They knew about the Nazis, that they weren't really good people, but they didn't know they were killing Jewish people by the millions. The Jewish people are being attacked on a daily basis all over the world. Right now it just happens to be in Gaza. But there are a lot of terrorist groups, as you well know, and I know, and Hollywood knows it too. And so do most of our leaders who are on the left side of the aisle, as it were. And I think there are Americans who don't understand people like Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, or maybe it's just too complicated for their little tiny minds. I don't know. But I can tell you this, terrorists, all of them, are cowards, whether they wear face covering and head covering, or whether they fly airplanes into buildings, or if they rape little girls in Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan, and then put the girls to death because they have sinned in the eyes of Islam. That's a real peaceful religion. That's a group that we all want to belong to. And if we're not careful, that's who we're going to belong to. If you don't say I'm a Muslim, then you're probably going to shoot you. Oh, I know you're going to think, well, he's just scared, he's hollering. Yeah, I am scared. I'm hollering. You bet I am, because I want people to understand this. You know, this may be viewed by 10 people or 500 people. I don't know. But somehow I've got to say something to somebody about what's going on in our country and what's going on around the world. As I say, our president's working on his golf game, and by the way, it doesn't look like he's very good, because he really has a terrible swing. And like I said before, if you side with terrorists, you're probably a little bit pro-terrorist. I'm going to give you just a couple examples, given to me by, not to me personally, but written up by a man, Rabbi Kalman Packoutz. I may have mispronounced that bad name, the last name. If I did, I'm sorry. There's 6 basic reasons historians have used or used to explain why Jews are hated. They're hated for economic reasons, because people think we hate the Jews because they possess too much wealth and too much power. Well, most of the Jews in Europe in the 1940s were dirt poor. They didn't have anything. They didn't have any money. They didn't have any power. And they didn't own all the banks. A lot of people hate them, number 2, because we hate the Jews because they arrogantly claim that they are the chosen people. Well, God himself said that, so you can take that one up with God, because I'm not going to argue with him. Number 3, it's because they're scapegoats. Jews are a convenient group to single out and blame for our troubles or anybody else's troubles. and deicide, which means killing God. We hate the Jews because they killed Jesus. Well, I got information for you. The Jews didn't kill Jesus. The Romans did. But nobody hates the Romans. The Jews were explicit and helped, yes, but they did not crucify Jesus. The other reason, number 5, is because they were outsiders. We hate the Jews because they are different than us. Wow. Well, my neighbor's different than me, but I don't hate him, even though he is tall and I may not be 6'1". Kind of a dumb reason to hate someone because they're a little different. Look around you and see if you hate everybody around you. And the other one is the racial theory. We hate Jews because they are an inferior race. Well, all of us at one time or another, all ethnic groups have been considered inferior. I'm of Irish descent. I'm an American first, but I'm of Irish descent. They killed a lot of us during the potato famine in the 1840s. Why? Because we were different. And believe me, we weren't rich either. Anyway, that's part of the reason that I wanted to talk about tonight. And I just want to say that if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't understand any of this, if you're a little thin in the gray matter area, then I would suggest you get your butt on your computer and find out some of this stuff. I don't listen to just Fox or just CNN. I can't listen to MSNBC because that's ridiculous. But I do listen to everybody. Drives me nuts sometimes, but I want both sides. So should you. And I would tell you this, educate yourself. Don't go with the crap that the empty heads of most of Hollywood throw at you, or most of the left politicians like Nancy Pelosi and John Kerry. You put those two together, you've got an IQ of about 8, maybe 10. People like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, they're race baiters. They procreate hate on a daily basis. That's all they do. They want people to hate each other. That's how they make their money. If they didn't hate each other, they wouldn't have a job. They wouldn't even know where to go to work, and they probably couldn't get a job. So I just want to tell you one thing, that all people who hate, all these racists, whether they're terrorists or it's Al Sharpton or some dimwit on the TV show somewhere, they're all purveyors of hate. And I'd like to leave you with one quick little quote by a man named Edmund Burke. And all of us should feel a little guilty about this if we don't pay attention. And Edmund Burke said that evil prevails when good men do nothing. And right now, there are a lot of really good men who aren't doing anything about the anti-Semitism, about the terrorism in general. And I will get into this on a later tape about our weak-kneed, wax-backboned government. I love my country, but I'm not real proud of my government and what they've done. So, thank you, and I'll see you next time.